All right, so we are officially launched for today. Chris and I want to say thanks for coming in and joining us today. It is awesome to have you here, and it looks like there's a lot of interest in today's topic, which is great. Hopefully, you all had a great weekend. It's going to be a beautiful week. I can just feel it. And so, Wendy, Kristen, before we get started, anything you want to say?
Nope, just thanks for being here.
All right, they're going to monitor the chat. So if you want to hop in today, you can either post questions that you have in the chat area. So if I'm kind of in the middle of the demo, you can post them there. Or if you want to use your microphone, and we'll pause at different points throughout the topic today. So let's hop into the topic at hand. We are going to look at the Smart Online Learning Suite as our tool. Last week, we talked about feedback and how do we give our students better feedback in this virtual learning environment. We promised this week we would then dive into those products and some of the different tools we had talked about. So today we're going to talk about the Smart Online Learning Suite, which will be new for most of you, my guess would be. Tomorrow, I believe we are on Flipgrid. We're going to be talking about collaborative learning tools on Wednesday. Wednesday will be our open line. Friday, we'll be able to ask questions. You can kind of see what the lineup for the week is.
Hey, Brian, just to note, sorry to interrupt. Wendy and we flip-flop days because I'm having my internet service tomorrow, and I didn't want to risk having a bad connection during a live session. So tomorrow will be the collaborative tools. Wednesday will be Flipgrid. Sorry, I said feedback. So just to clarify.
Right, thanks for clarifying. That's good. Okay, so I'm going to hop into just quick screen share mode. You were with us at all last week. You'll please look just a little bit as we get started. I'm using the same beginning from last week's presentation. We'll get through this part pretty quickly as we get into the deeper dive, and then we will be doing a live demo. Your grace as we go through that and some understanding as we live demo something. We are going to hop into the Smart Online Learning Suite. We realize that we basically have two camps of people who will be coming to us as we talk about this tool. This tool is purchased by the School District of Waukesha fully. So across our system, K-12, we purchase the Smart Notebook software and the Smart Online Learning Suite that goes along with it. The first group of people who will be coming to this product are people who are active Smartboard users or previous Smartboard users who may have used Smart Notebook and are curious about how this tool works into the larger context of what they're trying to do. So they have some previous Smart experience and they're trying to figure out how this merges with that Smart experience to work virtually. The other group of people who might be coming to this product, or the other category we're looking at, are people who have no previous Smart experience. They've never built in Smart Notebook. They maybe have never used a Smart board itself, but they might have some interest in how to make interactive lessons online. So maybe they've used Nearpod, maybe they've heard about Pear Deck, and they're trying to figure out how to make this tool do some of those things. So we're going to have to do some work to merge those worlds together. I will tell you that if you come in category A with some prior experience to Smart, you'll have some real advantages in the building side of the lessons. You'll kind of get a sense of how those work. And if you have some experience in the other category coming from Nearpod or Pear Deck, you're going to find some parity between those tools and this tool, along with some other great features. So the first thing I want to tell you is this. We'll talk just a little bit about this level, but I want to mention it again. So in order for us to have a live call and be able to see the lessons that we're going to deliver in Smart Online Learning Suite, that is something that's possible on the iPad. So if we are about a synchronous, meaning you're live with the students, call back Teams, and you want to be able to broadcast a Smart Online Learning Suite lesson, that is doable. We've tested it out. In fact, instructional video that shows how to do view and side by side, but it is possible. So be confident that as we go through this is something that will work for students on their iPads. Talk just a little bit about what the Smart Online Learning Suite is. It's a way for us to deliver a presentation or an activity, an interactive lesson, a quiz to students in an online interactive mode. So it allows us to bring in a wide variety of activities into what is our online learning suite, into our dashboard for SMART, if you will, and then push those out to students. They can then do, you kind of looking here at the individual and group interactivity portion of this, they can then do both individual activities where they are writing over the top of the slide, or they can do collaborative activities where they work in small groups. So that's one element of it from the feedback lens. As you can see here, though, it's not the only thing that they can do. So again, I talked about doing quizzes. They have responses. They have games. They have the ability to do a lot of manipulatives and moving things around if you are a smart notebook user and building there. And finally, we can get files that are in our that are in our Google Drive. So for instance, a presentation called Focus on Feedback, we can get it into our Smart Online Learning Suite. So if you're coming to it from the lens of, I've already got a presentation built in Google Slides, can I make it interactive? It'll allow you to do that as well. So this is just some why I might even be interested in this. I want to have an interactive lesson online. I want to be able to see how kids are thinking and give them feedback. And I want to also be able to bring in some of my existing Google Slides presentations. It can do all of those things. So task one today, probably the most important thing, the thing that I'm going to need you to play along with early on here, is I want you to create your own Smart Learning Suite online teacher account so that you can get started with this. By using the SDW Google account, your district email address, by using your Google account, you'll actually have full access to all of the resources. So I'm going to challenge us to do this. In fact, I'm going to take about 4 minutes here, I'll say, on the clock to make sure that we get everybody on the call to actually sign up, create your teacher account. You do not need to create something separate from, you can use your Google account from the district, but we're going to have you actually create your teacher account. So I'm going to model it once here, and then we're going to give you a couple of minutes to do that. You can go a number of ways, but we've got a shortened URL. So if you type in sdw1.us/smart online login, and I'll bring this up in just a moment again, sdw1.us/smart online login. When I go to that link, I'll be taken to this page. If you do not already have an account with Smart, you click sign up for free, sign in with Google. So you use your Google account to log in. It'll where you'll pick your accounts, and then from there it'll kind of link everything up. So I'm going to put up the short URL again, but I'd like to spend 3 more minutes making sure everybody in the call sets up their teacher account. So it's sdw1.us/smart online login. If you are having any troubles with this, I'm going to pause while we do this. If you're having any troubles, let us know either in the chat or open up your mic, but we're going to go set this up and get it working. sdw1.us/smart online login. Looks like Wendy also put in yep. Oh, that should get you going there. The links are in there. About another minute and a half or so to get yourself set up, get your teacher account working.
We have several people indicating in the chat that they're in. Feel free to add an I'm in the chat so we know that we're being successful.
we are all learning, this is the most nerve-wracking part of teaching virtually, is these moments when you send people off on tasks to see how they do, or send students off, and then you wonder, did we all get there? Are we missing something? So yeah, let us know that you were successful, or if you have a question, now's a great time to ask as far as getting started and setting up that account. Just about another 30 seconds or so to see if everyone gets signed in. Good. Looks like we're having lots of success across the board here. Anybody who's having any major technical issues, let us know. Those of you who are just joining us, we're just setting up our Smart Online Learning Suite accounts. Now, once you get excited about this product, you're going to want to be able to share it with others. And so just keep in mind, anybody in our district who has a Waukesha account, any of our can set up their free teacher account. So feel free to spread the word. We are pretty excited about this tool and what it can offer us, especially as we're in this virtual learning environment, but even beyond that. So certainly feel free to share it with others, and then you just have to give them the login page and remind them to use their Google account to get started. Wendy, Kristen, you seeing any issues as far as getting signed in, or we seem to be fairly successful?
I think everyone is pretty much in.
Great. Okay. All right. So I'm going to have you take a look back at our presentation here just for a few more minutes before we dig in too much to that. I just get over the first hurdle. So once you have your teacher account all set up and you're ready to deliver your first lesson, how are students going to be accessing these lessons? And I'm specifically going to address here the folks who are coming from the world where you have created smart notebook files in the past. You maybe even sent those files to students, you airdropped them to them, and they were opening them in the Smart Notebook app on their iPad. Smart's really working through the issues and challenges of that, and they're really coming to the place where they're becoming far more web-based or browser-based. In fact, I was on the call with Smart Support earlier today, and they said their goal is to be in a place where Smart Notebook fully featured is built online, and you never need to download Smart Notebook to your computer again. And they're getting closer and closer all the time. So Smart's moving to an online platform. In the case of students, if you want students to access your Smart activities online, you're going to upload them as in your teacher account. And then when you're ready to deploy them, students are going to visit hellosmart.com on their iPad. They do not need an app. They're just going to open it in the Safari browser. They'll go to the website, hellosmart.com. And when they do that, they'll be presented with this page. Maybe. Okay. So if they're a student from our district, they can actually sign in with their Google accounts, and it will be linked into their account as well. That's what we would recommend. Or they can join as a guest. And then a class ID is what's going to bring them into your specific courses, whatever sessions you are hosting, whatever lessons you've placed up there. So that's the path that students would go. As a teacher, need to have a teacher account and start building or uploading lessons to it. And that's what we're going to focus on today. The Hello Smart part we'll get to in just a little while as we play along together. So I want to address the other half of the house, the people who are coming to us with either Nearpod or Pear Deck experience, or who are interested in making it, an interactive lesson, but they don't have any Smart experience. We actually really like Nearpod and Pear Deck. They are really great tools. The challenge with both of them is, as you know, they are separate companies and they are both looking for a way to make money off of their business model. Each one has different ways that they go about doing that. Nearpod is great, has lots of great free tools that are available to it, but you're going to run into a limit of 40 students per lesson. They have certain tools that are not available to you. If you purchase for a short time, even if you purchase for a year, when you get shifted back and stop purchasing, you lose some of that functionality in your lesson. So Nearpod is one of those great tools that's out there, but you have to subscribe to get the full features. And we do not, as a system, do that. Pear Deck is really a powerful tool as well. It has a limit to the types of activities you can do with your free accounts. And again, we do not subscribe to that premium account as a system. When we think about Smart Learning Suite Online, it's got a lot of the same features as Pear Deck and Nearpod. Kids can write on lessons. We have some polling features that are available in there. You do not need a smartboard to use it. So that's something that's a common misconception, especially from those of you who have typical smartboard experience. This is online. There is no need for a smartboard to be a part of this equation at all anymore. And finally, we are fully subscribed to that. It is a fully featured product. It works for us K-12, and teachers and students can get into it. They can work either independently or the teacher-paced version of things, but we already have this product. So I'd really love to encourage you. As you know, we are really trying to stay in the tools that we have, and this is a tool that we have that we are more and more excited about. I'm only going to hit this for just a moment because I'll show you where you'll get these later on. So don't feel the need to write these down because there's a place in your account that already has this available. They have a ton of free support that's available for teachers. In fact, I told you I was talking to tech support earlier today because of an issue that they are having. And I told him this needs to work because I'm meeting with a group of people at 11 o'clock today. And he said it won't be fixed by 11. But I promise you, the people, they can call us at any point and we will tell them. And I literally didn't wait at all. Their whole goal is to have teachers be fully supported. And so they want you to call. They want you to, ask for support. The guy was incredibly knowledgeable and he was the first person I talked to. So I feel good saying, you're going to be well supported if you make a move into this because we pay for it. So the next question that a lot of you are going to ask is, okay, so you said I have to create a lesson before I can deploy it to students. How do I do that? There's 3 ways that we can do it. One of them, the one that's not working today, and it was working a week ago, is to import from Google Slides. So we take a presentation that I've got available in Google Drive. I right-click on it, click Open With, and I click Smart Learning Suite. And it will actually, when it's working, it will actually import a Google Slides presentation into my Smart Online Learning Suite account so I can start building activities inside of it. So if you are somebody coming from a Google Slides world and you're like, how do I make those really handy? Nearpod does this, Pear Deck does this, and Smart Online Learning Suite also does this. I will tell you the not working today part of that now just briefly so you understand this. Google made a change late last week in how it deploys its Google Slides. It's something that's on the deep internal side of it, and Google Slides, Google Docs, YouTube, all of those things, they made a change in how some of that is deployed and accessible via the web. Smart is on it. They realize it's an issue. They're working on it. Nearpod is also having issues with this right now. Anybody who knows Google well enough knows that they make changes quickly, and then everybody else kind of has to play catch up if you are built on their service. That happened in this case. So he assumes by the end of the week, we will be in a place where this is working. If you are somebody who is really interested in this product, but not being able to import your Google Slides presentation it's dead in the water, you're not interested, there's a really easy workaround that you can use. So that will bring me to the next 2 versions of this. The Smart Notebook upload is if you are a Smart Notebook user, you will create in Smart Notebook on your Mac, right, wherever, or on your device, on your wherever you've got Smart Notebook software installed. You will save it to your computer, and then in the Smart Online Learning Suite, you're going to click the plus button and import that Smart Notebook file into Smart Online Learning Suite to deliver it. The same is true, and I'm talking to the Google Slides folks who I was just talking to earlier. If you have a PDF or a PowerPoint, you can upload them to Smart Learning Suite online. So I'm going to come back to the Google Slides folks. You can download a Google Slide to your your computer as a PDF and then just upload it to the Smart Learning Suite online for the remainder of this week as they're solving that particular issue. So again, you're not dead in the water, dead on arrival if it doesn't work. This is a really simple workaround that we can use. So there's 3 ways to basically get it up there. You can start from Google Slides and either import it or upload it. You can start from Smart Notebook and then import it. Or if you have some other type of file, such as another kind of PDF or PowerPoint file, you can upload it into Smart Learning Suite online. So there's 3 ways to get stuff in there that are critical. I'm going to pause for just a moment and ask if there are any questions around this portion of it. Wendy, Kristen, seeing anything in the text, or we're good?
Seems like everybody's doing well.
Awesome. Great. Okay. So I am going to now go into my Smart Suite. All right. So I'm going to log in very quickly. And you can see what we go to our dashboard. I asked you to create that account, what it looks like. So when we talk about that, when adding activities, that's this big green plus button that's here. Okay, so when I click that plus, that's where I can import. I can do some other activities, including games. This is their quizzing feature. Shout It Out is like a digital whiteboard, not a digital whiteboard, kind of a digital post-it board where you can put sticky notes up on. All students could put those in one place. They've got some pre-made activities that are available. As I mentioned earlier, Google has made some changes to the way they are doing things. So their YouTube uploader is also problematic right now. As soon as they get it fixed with the Google Slides part, YouTube will work where you can have students view YouTube videos. But that's the add content area. While I'm paying attention to these big boxes up here, I told you there's support and training is available. That's this gray area right here. So if you want to go see their training at the Smart Learning Suite, you can get out to some of those free training resources. That's how our teams will use it. That's how you guys will learn how to use it as well, outside of these one-on-one trainings. So let's go ahead and get started by actually adding an activity. So I'm going to import a resource here that I downloaded a while ago. So this is a Google Slides presentation, and I downloaded it as a PDF from Google Drive. So here it is. Now I'm going to go ahead and upload it. And it's going to take that PDF and bring it into the Smart Online Learning Suite. Take just a few moments to do this. The longer they are, the longer they take. That's why I preloaded one in case this one took a little while. So we'll see. We'll give it just a moment here. Not too bad. Okay. So as it starts off on at the very beginning, this is really just a view-only file that students can go through and view with me. Okay. If I click Finish Editing here, there it is. And I have the ability to start this lesson with my students. So I click Start. I would give them the code to get in. Okay, so here's my code. I'd ask you not to hop into it yet, but I give them this code, and this would be a very one-directional presentation where I am the only person, just like on a smartboard, over the top of it. All of my students would see these edits and changes and moves live time. Okay. So that is what it is at its basic. If you just brought it in and you wanted all of your students to see that lesson at the same time. But I'm going to do something more with it. I'm going to click in this edit again. And we're going to start adding some interactivity. So the first couple of slides here are just instructional. But the way that I built this, I actually wanted some feedback from the students. So here you can see, and this is actually a Pear Deck lesson, what questions to ask when assessing a message or site, so the ones you are unsure about. So I'm going to take this one, and down here, you see my convert to activity button. I want to make this an interactive for the students. Here's the moment where I have to think for just a second about how I'm going to deliver this. If I am delivering this to all of my students at my 10 o'clock meeting tomorrow, and I want them to all work together, I've got two options. If we're all working together, I can make it collaborative, where I can say, okay, I'm going to build you into specific groups, and I'll show you that tool in a little while when we do the live demo, but I'm going to put you into specific groups, and you're going to work together on marking up this slide. Marking it up gives you the option to either write text or to draw over the top of it, okay? The other option is to make this an individual activity, something that my students can come in and I can see every student in my class and what their unique thoughts are, their unique work is as they mark up over the top of this page. Okay, I'm going to use this one. I'm going to make this a collaborative activity. So now you can see it's switched into a slightly different view called a preview. And it doesn't look like anything too fancy, but this is what the students would have access to. Instead of me being the one to draw on this one, they would have the ability to draw. The tools are not great, right? They're not like super in-depth tools, but they work. We've got some writing tools that we can work on over the top, this writing over the top. So that's what the preview roughly looks like. So now you know that I've got, these slides are basically instructional. Now I'm going to have one collaborative activity. Let's see, we'll do this one. This one, I'm going to turn into an individual activity. Okay, so I want to, this is kind of a quick test. I want to see how the kids did on this. So we're going to make this an individual activity. And here, every student, when you come in, will have their own copy of that in order to work over the top of it. So we've got collaborative activities and individual activities. Now we're going to scroll down just a little bit more here. Okay, so now you can see I've set up my slide or my presentation. Just these are just text boxes and images that I put into my Google Slides presentation that I've brought in here. But now I've got a flat image, and I asked the students to circle their evidence for whether this is a real or fake example here of an email. Okay, so now what kind of activity would I use in this case? Well, again, I'm delivering this with everybody in the class at 10:30 tomorrow. So I'm going to convert this one again into a collaborative activity. I'm going to circle the text, and then I'm going to mark as with each group. And I can diversify the groups. I can randomize the groups. So if I've got 30 students in there at the same time, I can have 10 groups of 3, and it just randomly will spit them into, put them into different groups. Or we can do it where I specifically assign groups. These 2 are going to work over here. These 3 are going to work over here, kind of thing. So you can see those are my basics, the ones that I am just getting started with, my basic tools that I'm going to work with. All right. I'm going to click Finish Editing. All right. And we are actually going to live work on this so you can see what the student side looks like. So I've got it set to go. I click Start. All right, I'm going to need some user participation here from at least some of you. If you're not all feeling the photo there, that's all right. But I have this set to teacher pacing. That means I'm going to control your screens once you sign in. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you visit hellosmart.com. Join as a guest for today, but I'm going to have you enter this code 461693. So it's hellosmart.com 461693. And I can say I've got 5, 6 students connected, so it's telling live time how many students are going to be in my room. Great, I've got 8 of you. hellosmart.com 461693. just another minute or so for those who are wanting to hop in and play along today.
Brian, if you want to get started, we've got the code in the chat.
Great, awesome. So as you can tell, right, we're doing this synchronously. I'm talking to you, and I'm going to do some instructing first. I'm going to talk about what it means to be internet awesome. This is some work from Google. Let's see what's happening here. I'm very blank on my screen. Are you guys seeing me as blank as well?
I see your first slide be internet awesome.
You see that one? Okay.
Blank in the WebEx, but we've got the Be Internet Awesome on the Smart Class.
Yeah, from the student side of it, I can see that your first slide is also up.
Good. I'm just going to join in from a different device so I can play along. I have a feeling this is the danger of being in WebEx and, you know, showing it different ways. So give me 1 second. I'll join it as a student so I can see what you all are seeing as well. So you can see on your devices, if you're playing along, I'm moving you through each of the slides. Now, when I get to a slide, oh, I think it's catching up for me. Okay. Okay, so this is the part where I could instruct you, right? I'm working on that and I'm taking you through there. Now we get to a slide here where I'm ready to spin you out into a workspace. So on the teacher side, I click Set Up. And it asks me how many teams I would like, or do I want to have everyone on the same team? So what I'm going to do is spin you out into 5 groups, roughly 4 people to a group here. You can see it placed in different teams. And then I'm going to click Start Workspace. So on your screens, you should now be able to draw, and you know what, just write your initials on there, draw something on the screen, just so that I can hop in. I'm going to give you just a moment to make some additions to the screen so I can show you on the teacher side how I can hop from workspace to workspace. So here you can see I've just hopped into Team 5's workspace. So I can see live time, any changes or additions that you make. I can also add some stuff to it if I'd like to. I can write, I can use text, great job. Text into your space, or I can draw into your space, like you, good job. But when we're talking about feedback, the ability to give group specific feedback and see what their thinking is. All right, so that's group 1, group 2. Oh yeah, this is right. So you can kind of get the feel for what you would do with this as far as giving students feedback. It's a collaborative activity. All right, so I'm going to move on, and you'll notice you'll move on as well with me. Now we're going to do individual student handout. In this case, each of you are going to get your own version of this. Okay, so I'm going to do a student progress, individual student handout. You guys are going to click Start on your screen. So go ahead and click Start. All right. So you can see here is a way for each of you to write over the top of your own. What can I add here? I can add drawings. So you see that. You can erase. You can add images. Okay. You can either select an image from your camera roll, if that makes sense to do that, or you can go out and grab a URL web link and add an image. You can add text. What I'd like you to do is this. On yours, I'd like you to go in and add an image if you can. Let's just see how that works for you on the devices you're on, and see you can see what it looks like on my side. And when you're done, I'm going to have you click the Done button in the far upper right. All right, so I want you to take a look at my screen if you're in the WebEx. What I wanted to show you is this. Click that Done button. I can see a little check mark from the teaching side, so I can go in and take a look at it. Great. So my own images or type in there. Great work. And give each student feedback on their own. But again, if we're thinking about feedback here, sometimes it's just knowing that people are with you, right? That they understand what you're doing. Sometimes it is the ability to say, your thinking was great on that, or let's correct your thinking around. But I can go through for each student and do this in this teacher-paced version of things. Okay. The key there is that Done button. All right. I'm going to move on to the next couple of lessons here. So this is that same workspace setup here, where I would do a collaborative version of that if I were to do that. I'm not going to run that one right now. Okay. I'm going to hop out of this lesson. Okay. So in hopping out of that lesson and switching over to a new one, you probably see on your screen here, just waiting for your teacher to start the lesson if you are in Smart. So I've got another pre-built activity that we're all gonna play. So stay right where you are in our Hello Smart room. I'm gonna launch my next activity. What I like about this is the ability for the students to not have to go to another website, right? Once they're in there working with you, you can actually jump between activities really quickly and easily. This one's called Monster Quiz, and I'm going to start this one for the class. All right, so I've started a Monster Quiz activity. On my side, I have the ability to divide you into teams. So I'm going to click the Divide into Teams button. Again, I'm going to stick with, we're going to do an 8. Sounds good. So it's going to sort you out. You should have 2 to 3 people in each of your teams. Great. All right, you've been given a title, so we don't have this all the time wasting of you guys come up with titles and all the names for your group. And we're going to click Start here. Now, I could have customized that, but you're going to have 20 seconds to answer each of the questions that are coming along here. So go ahead and answer on your device that you're working on. Okay, a series of 3 questions left to answer, so stick with it. When you get to the end, yours will say something like you're done and how many you got correct on the first try. So if you play this game or interested in this game at all, it was actually really easy to set up and work with. I'll show you how I created it but you get the general idea. The one thing I want you to note about this though is even if you answered wrong, you weren't able to just keep moving forward. You were given another shot to go at it. So we see the heat scorchers did the best out of our grouping here. Okay. We see the case crashers got second in our game, and then the snowblinders got third. So it's just a fun little quiz for us to do as we're working on. I'm going to go ahead and while you guys are working, I can see who's all connected in there by clicking on my little drop icon here. When I click End Quiz, okay, we see who our high scorers are. We can do a review and show how each of you did, and I, as a teacher, actually am saying how the whole class did. Okay, so the finishing time, the heat scorchers finished in 48 seconds. 83% of them were correct. So it's not just about how fast, but also how accurate you were. So it's just a fun little addition to this. I'm going to click the class review button here. All right, and I can take a look at, what I love about this is I can take a look at how everybody did as far as which ones we got right, which ones were problem areas, which ones I need to come back to. I can also show the team scoreboard on my side just to see how we did. So those are our different toggles that we've got there. And let's see. And you should have each seen on your screens where you got things right and wrong. Okay. So those are just a quick feedback tool that we've got available to us. If I want to play again, I can click the reset button here and reset the activity, or play with somebody else later. I can reset that, and it should on your screen reset your screen as well. I'm going to end that activity there. And I'm going to draw you back actually to the WebEx so I can show you how I created it. So I'm going to click in the Add Activities button. This is the same place where we imported before, but I used a game-based activity. The beauty of this is when you know how to make one of these, making others is crazy simple. So I selected Master Quiz. I've only got two choices here, multiple choice or true or false. Okay. I simply have to put in my answers here. All right, and then select the correct answer. Then to add another question, and again, my choices are multiple choice or true or false. Now I click that. Once I've got all my questions brought in here, and I can reorder them if it makes sense to do that, I just drag them around here. I click next. I encourage you to randomize the question order. And then the reason that it moved through at a fairly quick pace was because I set it to a 20-second limit. You'll obviously want to adjust this for your groups based on their age and what you're doing with them. But limiting the time limit per question, especially in a virtual environment, really does keep it moving pretty quickly here. And then click Finish. We'll add that activity. Should add that activity. Okay, so there it is. Okay. Now, what if I want to add other pieces to this? I don't just see my monster quiz. I can click the plus button here, and this is where I can add other things. A new title page. I could add another response. This is the quizzing tool. I could add another game. Let's take a look at the activating prior knowledge activities that they've got here. This is this is a shouted out. Want to know about quiz? Just reorder them, just like the slide presentation, basically. Okay. I'm going to edit that one. So this one is called a shouted out activity. And in this one, I can add different categories. I want to know about dates. I want to know about months. I want to know about years. This is the one where students post their ideas up onto a virtual post-it board, for lack of a better term, right? So you each will have an opportunity to write. I'm only going to allow you, because I've got 3 categories, I'm only going to allow you to write 3 post-it notes in this one, okay? And I'm only going to let you contribute text. And for the sake of this, I'm going to have you show, although you could hide them. All right, good. I am done editing those 2. So you saw how easy it was for me to make the monster quiz. It was almost as easy for me to make the shout it out activity. I'm going to start this one, and I'm going to have you go back into your Hello Smart window again, just so you can see what the shout it out activity looks like. So whatever your prompt is, what do you want to know about the topic? And then I'm going to start this for the class. And you should see on your screen a place where you can type, and then select the category you'd like it to go into: dates, months, or years. I don't know what you're going to type. Just anything at this point is fine. I know, it is truly a great tool. And I will mention, we've had the tool for some time. Unfortunately, I don't know that we have, as a team, been super happy with what it has been providing for us. Smart's been kind of in a funky place with its, are we going to be a software company? How are we going to deliver lessons? Are we going to have apps? This is really their direction moving forward. And so we're really getting comfortable with the idea of this being a way that we would have students engage online. So this is the shout it out activity, and you get a general idea. I can click on it and get a closer view, right? So I can see what each of you are adding here. Yep, you got it. Lots of potential for creating what we already have. So great. I hope that you're starting to see how easy it is to use this tool. There are some other functional pieces that are here. I'll tell you, these work really well if you're in a face-to-face environment, but the buzzers and the randomizers, let's just do this. You can see here. If you're going to ask someone to share in a live, right? All right, I'd like to hear from student 1, student 2, whatever it might be. You could use some of those tools. I think you'll have to play with them to make this really meaningful for you. Let me just check something here quick. Put that away. The buzzers for sure are probably not going to do you a ton of great, but if you're using an asynchronous environment, it might work okay for you there. There's some other tools you may want to play with. They're under the star icon here, but there's a timer, a randomizer. In the virtual environment, what's hard about it is students are not, they're going to be working on Hello Smart, they're going to be listening to you, but they won't have the benefit of always seeing exactly your screen unless they're jumping in between the 2 apps or have them side by side. So just something to know about this. There's about 15 other things I want to show you, but I also realize that you've got questions, you've got other things you want to get started with. So I'm going to leave it at that, because knowing what I've taught you today, you actually have everything you need to make a response, a game-based activity, to introduce your own page, to import resources. You've got a really good set of tools to get started with. And a reminder that the training tool that's available here, the Smart Learning Suite Online, actually has so much available for you to learn more. Free resources, lots of great ways to connect. So I'm going to pause and ask if there are any questions or thoughts, reflections you have about the tool at this point.
Brian, this was great. Thank you. My question is, can you record yourself as you do the lesson so that kids can play it back?
Yeah, I don't see why that would be a problem at all, actually. I would run a trial run. So if you're at all interested in doing this, I have my iPad on the Hello Smart side of things, and then I'm doing the WebEx, obviously, and running the teacher side on my MacBook. So I would just use probably your your recorder in WebEx Teams if you're already using that, or if you're not using that, you could use the Safari piece. But identifying that the students may not, depending on what view they have, they won't have the full access to it. And so I think that's the only thing you have to keep in mind is like, if this is something they needed to engage with, that could be problematic for a student who's viewing it later.
Okay, thank you.
Brian, thank you so much for all of this. It is great. I am wondering if it is being used afterwards. Is there a student? You said that there's a student-paced one. Can they access that at any time, or do I have to be sitting there available then?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I'll show you how you do it. And it is all really comes to how you share it with the students. So we talked about how smart logging in when it is teacher paced. If you want to do the student instead of launching it live, what you need to do is click the three dots here, share a link. First of all, you should know if teachers create, you can share links with each other and edit them. But the Get Student Access link, this link, if that's what students like in your Google Classroom, so students can access the lesson with that link, so they can get in there and work at it. And you can set it to, it'll be set to student paced then, so they'll be able to work through it at that point. The only ones of these that obviously don't work when it's student paced, if it's a collaborative activity, obviously that doesn't work. And the like any of the games where they would have to be in there, those aren't going to work quite as well. So you have to play with those. Specifically, the responses one will not work unless the teacher launches it live. But if it's really just the handout activities and them going through the lessons, then this will work for them as a way to share out with them.
Awesome, thank you.
To add this other piece to that, when you are, I'm sorry if that's anything for you. You are setting up your lesson. If you are live with them, if you want them to go through at their own pace there, you can actually just switch it over to student paced, and then they can move through the lesson at their own pace while you are live with them as well. So either one would work. You could do it async with the three dots, or you could let them be student paced here. Other questions or thoughts about the tool?
Brian, with that link that you can send to students, do students just have to click on that link and it directly opens it for them? Or do they have to go to the Hello Smart login with my class and then click the link?
That's a good question. Let me check it quick. Together. So they do have to sign in with their account. Sign in. Let's see what it tells us. Obviously, I'm doing it on a Mac, so it's a little bit different on an iPad. Yeah. Yes. It looks like it takes them to the login page, but then the token behind it lets them keep moving forward.
I also have several classrooms that have used this, and they've just had the kids shortcut to their desktop on their iPad, the Hello Smart learning piece, and the teacher's code doesn't change. So if they know your, whatever it was you had for us today, 461 code, that will get them in. So if you have something active that you're doing the lesson with them, they would be right in it.
Okay.
So if I were to do a live one with them, they have my code already automatically plugged in, so they wouldn't have to go through the putting in of their email address and missing, the dot and it not working.
Correct. If they go straight to that Hello Smart page and they know what your number is or put that in, that's automatically stays there and they can just come right back in. It doesn't change each time you start a new lesson.
Right.
That will be Brian's number.
Right. For instance, I was logged in the other day when Brian initially talked about this, and I never actually left his class. So today when I went to the activity, I was already logged in. It already launched on my iPad, and I never had to enter anything. So if your kiddos don't leave your class, then all they have to do is reopen the browser that it's in.
Multiple teachers, when you go to that Hello Smart page, it'll actually, like Brianna Mormon was using it, and I had logged in as a student months ago there. I clicked on it and I was able to, in her class, it had remembered that I was part of that. So multiple teachers with multiple, class IDs will be okay and will work for students.
Brian, is there a way then to stop the activity?
When you, so when in the activity itself, and let's go down to one here. Okay, so here is where I can view the student progress. And here is where I click that gear icon, and then I can click I click end, that'll end the activity. So it's no longer running on student devices. I still have the ability to go in and view them. Even though I've ended the activity, I can go in and view those, their work at that point then. Other questions? So what I'll say is thank you for for sticking with us through the marathon of this one. I know a lot of opportunity inside of it, but learning anything really new, and I think this of all of our tools is probably one of the newest for most of us. It is a little bit, just a little bit challenging. So thanks for sticking with us as we've gone through this together. Certainly reach out to any of us if you have questions, but also don't hesitate at all to jump into their training. Their training's super useful. One great thing about the product, the company Smart, is that they really are focused on teachers. They always have been. And so there is no question that they don't want to answer for you. They're super helpful, and they really are a great company to work with. So if you're just learning this, don't hesitate to ask anybody for help, but specifically feel free to reach out to Smart as well. I asked like 3 times this morning. I was like, you really want me to tell all the teachers to call? And he's like, we really want them to call and ask for support. So just know that.
They really are about the training. So their tutorials and things are really comprehensive and easy to understand.
I'll throw at you is if you are a Smart Notebook user, and you bring your Smart Notebook activities in, like the infinite cloners and things like that, if you know what that means, all of those are interactives that work in the Smart Online Learning Suite finally. So really play with some of your lessons, upload them, see what they're like. I bet you'll be pretty happy with what you're seeing there. I was pretty excited about some of those as well. And if you're not a Smart Notebook user, someday you'll want to be, no doubt about it. But for now, just learn this part of it.
And we know we only had about 23 on today. So share with your friends. We'll post the recording of this into the class or into school's sessions when it comes up for us later. But please refer your friends to it because it's a really game changer for our virtual classrooms as well.
Yeah, I think especially now that we know for sure we're going to be spending the rest of the school year this way, a lot of people are kind of looking for how do I engage my students more, and other than just giving them this Google presentation to go through and walk through. And here's one of those ways that you can really get your students in and kind of monitor how quickly they're going through something, or guarantee that they're actually watching a resource before we can move through to another piece of it. So just a really easy, simple tool that you can kind of grab your students in and engage with them, versus then the all self-directed kind of piece. But you have the ability to have it be all self-directed too, still in a little bit more interactive way.
All right, thanks. We're on the hour mark, everybody. So tomorrow we are going to be doing Black Blackboard. Join us again, right? Blackboard tomorrow.
Collaborative.
Yep. Okay.
Blackboard.
Collaborative tools tomorrow. Join us again tomorrow. We're also going to be sending out in the buildings, your WebEx Teams buildings later on, links to the recordings and things like that, and also an offering from Apple tomorrow on spicy writing that's coming up. So some exciting things coming forward. You guys have a great rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you later in the week.
Quick question. You had originally written down that it was Flipgrid tomorrow. Is that switched?
Switch, yes.
Thank you. Flipgrid switched to Wednesday.
Flipgrid will be on Wednesday. Yep.